So this is my point of view on abuse and trauma. For anybody that has ever been emotionally, sexually, any type of abuse you have experienced in this lifetime, may it be from parents, strangers, lovers, etc. Oh, this is a kitty here. Your experience is valid. Like what you went through did happen, and from a level of consciousness of the aspect of yourself that got trapped in your unconscious in that moment, that is true. But from a higher level of consciousness, and this is trigger alert, could trigger a lot of people, there are no victims. So I have experienced both types of abuse, and it did took me a while to like heal that aspect of myself and integrate that. And now it's that I feel, I may say like 1% of suffering or of the abandonment that led into my consciousness, because I always wanted to hold on to something to feel safe, which is an illusion because we're always safe. We don't have to hold on to people, places, or things. But I feel like, and I'm gonna refine how to explain this, because right now it may be too harsh. Like, okay, you're not a victim, but that's the only way you're gonna fully heal yourself and embrace all of your emotions. Like, you need to let that part of yourself that feels the guilt, the shame, the fear, that cannot relieve the experience, to come out and feel the sensations fully, to feel the hurt, to feel the pain, to feel the anger, to feel the tears. Release all the emotions that you may have buried in your unconscious. Hold that aspect of yourself as it's valid what you experience. Accept that as a part of you. And when you feel that you have dealt with the transmutation process, which is the feminine aspect, it is time and there's space to go through the recontextualizing process, which is the masculine, in which you change your point of view of the experience. And this is something, I did mushrooms for the first time like a month ago or 2 months ago, and I was able to not only go through my traumatic experience and get in the body of the person and see through their eyes, like my soul abided in their consciousness, and I could see through their lens, and I could see the distortions and the how blurred they were seeing the situation before that happened. And that just brought me so much forgiveness and unconditional love. I'm not saying I'm promoting mushrooms, because I was never into that, and I just felt called to it at some point in my journey. I think you can heal and integrate all these things by yourself without any help of the medicine, which I did for like 10 years. But it was so clear to me that there was never a victim in a higher level. So I think both approaches can work, in which you validate your experience. You hold yourself if you need to like go through therapy and relive the experience and feel the emotions over and over. That's beautiful. But there's a point in which that just only gets you so far. And then it's time to put yourself in the consciousness of the other person and see that there's no separation. Like in a higher scale, you created that scenario when you came back to learn those lessons and to integrate those teachings. And you always have a choice. Sometimes there's some teachings that says like there's no free will. There's no free will in the sense that your soul came here with a plan, but with conditioning we can forget, and then the ego makes different choices based on conditioning that can create more karma. And our role as star seeds or wanderers or light workers is to, now that we're here, be more conscious of our guidance system. What does our soul wants us to do? So we don't make the choices based on conditioning, and then we create more karma and more suffering for ourselves. So it's also a sweet spot. It's like it's all a paradox. It's like there's free will and there's no free will. You can choose differently. You could have not gotten the abuse or the rape or whatever, or you need to went through. Sometimes it's just karmic. Sometimes you had to go through it because you did it in a past life. Sometimes it was just ego conditioning and you chose the choice that was going to bring on more karma. But either way, whenever the situation happens, resisting what happened is not going to bring more healing. It's just to feel the sensations, to feel the emotions, to feel the hurt, to feel the anger, to feel the pain, and then try to see it from its all oneness. And you are not that person anymore. It's like the nervous system holds memory and it can replay the scene anytime you feel the trigger from that situation. And then you can go into fight or flight, or you can just flip, and it's called split. Like that aspect of your personality, that shadowy side, comes into the surface and you have no recollection of what happened, because that aspect is buried in the unconscious and you need to see it, heal it. It's like you become the parent and you hold your inner child, or that aspect of yourself that went through the trauma, and you integrate it into the wholeness of your heart. And that's like an ongoing process. So it's a sweet spot into acknowledging the aspect of yourself that went through it, and also having the wisdom of how can I see this differently. So you don't not always keep repeating shadow work, because then it's endless and you're never gonna wake up from the loop of samsara. And we're here to free ourselves. That's the inspiration of the day. Hope it was helpful. If you feel called to have a subtle body balancing in which we can move the stagnant energy from your sacral center, if you suffered some type of abuse, we can use prana and sexual energy to move the energy across your chakras into the whole of your heart for expansion. We can do causal body balancing, in which we rewire the nervous system and recalibrate it so you can hold more light and you can hold more space for yourself as you do your own healing process. Or we can do mental body balancing, in which we go exactly through your experience so you can see light out of it. And I know this is a tricky subject, kind of like taboo subject or something subtle and sensitive, but it doesn't have to be. You can be free of it. You can be free of the suffering, of the pain. I can say with trust that right now I just experienced 1% of the suffering. Just got interrupted, but that's okay.